The National Basketball Association has long been recognized as one of the most exciting and dynamic professional sports leagues in the world. With its fast-paced action, incredible athleticism, and global fan base, the NBA continually strives to enhance the game and maintain its status as the pinnacle of basketball excellence. In its ongoing quest for innovation, the NBA has introduced a series of rule changes in 2023, welcoming a new era of gameplay and strategic possibilities. Changes to the award voting system, a new in-season tournament, and implementing a flopping penalty are just some of the changes coming for the upcoming season. Let's dive in. Starting this year, the NBA will introduce an in-season tournament. To start with, there will be a prize pool applied to teams that advance to the knockout stages. Each player on the winning team will receive $500,000, while the runner-ups will receive $200,000 each. Players that lose in the semifinals will be awarded $100,000, and those that lose in the quarterfinals will receive $50,000. Apart from this, the winning team will receive a new trophy called the NBA Cup. For the players individually, there will be a tournament MVP and an all-tournament team. The tournament structure is as follows. Teams will be divided into 6 groups consisting of 5 teams each. In the group stage, all teams within each group will compete against each other once. The winners of each group will advance to an 8-team single-elimination tournament along with 2 wildcard teams. The quarterfinals will be played with the higher-seeded team hosting, while the semifinals and championship game will be played at a neutral location. It's important to note that group play, quarterfinals, and semifinals will contribute to the regular season records, but the final match will not count as a regular season game. Load management has been a hot topic for the last couple of years, especially for disappointed fans. According to multiple sources, there will be a new award voting criteria that will help limit the amount of time players are sitting down. With this new rule, to qualify for awards such as MVP and All-NBA, players must participate in a minimum of 65 games. The composition of the All-NBA and All-Defensive teams will undergo a change as well. Instead of the conventional approach of selecting 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center for each team, the new format will be positionless, meaning that players will be chosen based on their overall performance without specific positional designations. The NBA has approved the new anti-flopping rule and the expanded use of Coach's Challenge, which both have been tested during the 2023 Summer League. The implementation of the flopping penalty is expected to significantly influence the game. In almost every NBA game, there is at least one instance where a player attempts to deceive the officials by flopping. Awarding a technical and a free throw to the opposing team has the potential to discourage players from engaging in such behavior, thereby enhancing the viewing experience by reducing fake theatrics on the court. Although there are technical fouls, players cannot be ejected due to flopping. Flops can also be accessed after games, in which case the penalty will be a $2,000 fine, same as technical foul. The current Coach's Challenge system has limitations, as teams sometimes exhaust their single Coach's Challenge early on, resulting in missed opportunities to overturn pivotal calls. By granting a second challenge upon a successful first one, teams would gain an advantage and address situations where critical calls could have been reversed if the initial challenge had already been utilized. Furthermore, the proposed change to award a second Coach's Challenge upon a successful initial challenge can also impact the strategic approach of certain coaches known for their conservative use of challenges. When coaches are confident about a play in the early stages of the game going in their favor, they may be more inclined to employ their challenge, as they would have the assurance of having that challenge reinstated. Recently, the NBA and NBPA successfully came to terms on a new collective bargaining agreement. The agreement was jointly announced by the league and players and subsequently ratified by both league governors and players on April 26. It's important to mention that the recently agreed upon collective bargaining agreement is a 7-year deal that will remain valid until the 2029 to 2030 season. Apart from ensuring that there won't be any lockouts in the foreseeable future and the other changes we've already seen, there are more changes expected in the offseason due to the implementation of the new CBA. This anticipation stems from the severe penalties included in the CBA, specifically targeting teams that spend the most in the league. Starting this year, everything will change for expensive teams. Basically, if a team gets too expensive, all you can do is re-sign your own guys or sign a minimum contract. With these new rules, expensive teams can no longer use the mid-level exception, making trades will be very hard and signing role players will be almost impossible. It is assumed that these changes are targeted to eliminating super teams, expecting for talent to be more spread across the league. This should open up the floor for some not-so-rich franchises to build a solid team and have a better opportunity at a championship, which could make things very competitive and exciting. But obviously, there will be franchises wanting to build super teams, right? So, can you build a super team with these rules? Exceptions to these new rules come in two forms: superstar pay cuts and drafting your super team. Drafting your super team is a bit self-explanatory since it's basically a team that has been formed by drafting your players who basically became superstars. Even though the odds are stacked against you on this one rule that could help the odds of this happening is that teams are expected to be able to trade their draft picks up to 4 years in advance. Apart from this, the other option is the superstar pay cut. Basically, if you want 3 stars in your team, you're gonna need 2 of them to cut their salary in half. You can imagine the odds of that happening. Furthermore, the teams under the second tax apron are now restricted from acquiring a higher salary in a trade than the amount they are sending out. In the past, they had the flexibility to take back up to 125% of their outgoing salaries. These teams are no longer allowed to trade first-round picks that are 7 years into the future. However, teams below the second apron still retain the ability to do so, which furthermore encourages the spread of talent across the league. Teams under this second tax apron are also now prohibited from including cash in a trade, which effectively prevents them from using monetary transactions to acquire second-round picks on draft night or sign buyout players. This rule would have hindered the signings of Russell Westbrook to the Clippers, Goran Dragic to the Bucks, Terrence Ross to the Suns, and Justin Holiday to the Mavericks in 2023. On another note, under the new CBA, extensions can now reach a value of up to 140% of the player's previous salary, representing an increase from the previous CBA's limit of 120%. This clause will be especially useful for players approaching their third contract who signed a below-market rookie extension. Jaylen Brown, Domantas Sabonis, DeJounte Murray, and Lauri Markkanen, for example, all signed for less than the max rookie extension but are in line for monster third contracts. They can now sign bigger extensions ahead of time if they choose. Another thing changing is cap increase. The annual increase in the salary cap will be limited to a maximum of 10% per year. This rule is particularly significant due to events that unfolded in the summer of 2016. During that time, the salary cap experienced a sudden surge of 32%, leading to a state of chaos. Role players unexpectedly received more lucrative contracts, and the Warriors capitalized on the increased cap space to sign none other than Kevin Durant. With all these changes, it is evident that the process of assembling teams will undergo significant transformations in the future. These changes promise to shape the future of the NBA, influencing strategic decisions, encouraging creativity, and ensuring the league remains at the forefront of professional basketball worldwide. As fans and players alike embrace these alterations, we think, in general, these changes promote a more leveled playing field. We'll be looking forward to see how the league and players adapt.